Sometimes, it is difficult to explain what feels missing. Your life may look normal from the outside. You wake up, you work, you answer messages. You move through the same routines everyone else moves through. And yet, something inside you still feels unsatisfied. Not dramatically, not loudly, just quietly empty. So you try to fill it with more stimulation, more entertainment, more scrolling, more goals, more distractions. And sometimes, for a few moments, it almost works. The mind becomes occupied again. The silence disappears again. But eventually, the feeling returns. That strange hunger, that quiet sense that something essential is still missing. Modern life is very good at distracting human beings from noticing this emptiness. As long as the noise continues, people rarely stop long enough to ask themselves what they are truly hungry for. So they continue searching. Another purchase, another relationship, another achievement, another distraction powerful enough to silence the emptiness for a little longer. But the relief never lasts, because distraction can occupy the mind, but it cannot nourish the soul. And after a while, people begin mistaking stimulation for aliveness, constant movement for meaning, constant noise for connection. But the soul does not become full, simply because life becomes busy. Sometimes it becomes emptier, precisely when the outside world becomes too loud. Some people become afraid of silence because silence removes distraction. And when distraction disappears, the deeper hunger becomes visible again. The loneliness, the restlessness, the strange feeling that something important has been missing for a very long time. So the world teaches people to stay constantly occupied. Keep scrolling, keep consuming, keep chasing, keep filling every empty space immediately. Because stillness becomes uncomfortable when a person has spent years avoiding their own soul. But perhaps the emptiness we try so hard to escape is not punishment. Perhaps it is invitation. An invitation to stop running long enough to finally hear what the soul has been trying to say underneath all the noise. Most people spend their lives searching for something without realizing they're actually searching for someone. So they keep looking outward. Another experience, another destination, another version of themselves that finally feels complete. But even after achieving so much, many souls still feel quietly distant from themselves, as if something sacred has slowly disappeared from modern life. Not because God disappeared, but because human beings became too distracted to notice his absence, too overwhelmed to listen, too mentally crowded to feel. Certain moments affect the soul so deeply for this reason. A quiet morning, a deep prayer, silence near nature, a moment of real stillness. Because for a few seconds, something inside remembers. Something older than anxiety, older than performance, older than the endless noise of the world. Maybe the soul remembers what it feels like to be near God again. Real spiritual nourishment does not always feel intense. Sometimes it feels like returning home after being lost for a very long time. A kind of peace the world itself cannot manufacture. Because perhaps the soul was never created to survive only on achievement, distraction, and desire. Perhaps it was created for relationship, for presence, for closeness, for love deeper than fear. Even in beautiful lives, successful lives, busy lives, many people still carry a quiet ache inside themselves. Not because they are broken, but because the soul continues hungering for what it was separated from. So maybe, before you spend another year trying to fill the emptiness inside you with more noise, more achievement, more distraction, pause long enough to ask yourself a different question. Not, what else do I need from the world? But, what is my soul truly hungry for? Because temporary things cannot permanently satisfy an eternal soul. And sometimes, in the middle of a quiet prayer, a sunrise, or a deep silence, the soul softens, as if something inside whispers, "This is what you were truly missing." Not more of the world, but deeper connection, deeper presence, deeper closeness to God. And perhaps healing begins there. Not when life becomes perfect, but when the soul finally stops searching everywhere else for what it has secretly been longing for in God all along. Something inside me still remains, hungry through pleasures, loss and gains, until the silence softly shows the place my weary spirit knows. Closer than breath, closer than light, you were the longing all this time. Closer than breath, closer than light, you were the longing all this time. Time.